Day 3, marriage week. We're going live on day 3, marriage week. I'm going to wait for the Facebook people to build our audience, and then we'll get started. They're going to be building this audience, getting you guys on. If you missed day 1, day 2, you need to go back and review them. This is day 3. And I'm excited about what I'll be sharing with you in day 3. I was going to do one particular teaching, but I decided to go another route and do follow the leader first. Because I think follow the leader is very important. So we're going to talk about that for all of my married people. If you're getting ready to get married, you need to hear this. If you're already married, you need to hear this. If you've been married before, you need to hear this. Listen, get on and start sharing. Let people know that the marriage day 3 video is live. I can't wait to give you some information out of my own wisdom as it pertains to being married. I've been with the same woman for 19 years. Bishop is getting better. He has a fractured jaw. His jaw has been fractured. My dog was attacked. And so many of y'all are asking how he's doing. He's getting better. So log on and tell me what city you're logging in from. I need to know the city and state you're logging in from. And I'm excited about that. City and the state you're logging in from. So our dog is getting better. That's why this broadcast is coming on late. I'm going to try to get as many of you on. I'm teaching on marriage today. Hey, Pastor, single girl here seeking marriage knowledge. I'm going to give it to you. What I need you to do is start sharing this. Start sharing the video. Let's get this video up and going. Let's start sharing it. I'll be getting started in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds. And I can't wait to give this information to you today. So you want to let your friends know, families know. We're all uploading the videos on YouTube. So day 1 and day 2 have been uploaded on video on YouTube already. So for those people you know don't have Facebook pages, you can send them to YouTube. We'll make sure that we provide this link for YouTube for them to be able to watch that there. My inbox has blown up with questions referencing what I've been teaching and a lot of testimonials and saying thank you for what you've been sharing. So I just want to say thank you, all of you who have been listening to me over these past 2 days. See y'all next week. All right, Kim, I can't wait to see you. Kim is moving to H-Town. Hallelujah. I'm going to be her full-time pastor as she moves from Atlanta to H-Town. So I'm indeed excited about that. All right, let's get started. I'm ready. There are 100 of you on right now, so I'm ready to go on and get this started. So a lot of what I'm teaching is out of a series that I've done on marriage. But a lot of it comes out of the trial and error. Hey, Della D. A lot of it comes out of the trial and error that my wife have made and I've made in our relationship with each other. So I'm just sharing our wisdom with you. Okay, now, one of the major issues as it pertains to married couples, people who are married, that I see when I'm counseling is the defining of roles in the marriage. Guys, you'd be surprised how many people are struggling in their relationship because they have not properly defined their roles in marriage. Make sure you hold your questions to the end, and I'll make sure I'll come back and answer some of your questions for you. One of the major issues that they are having in relationships as I'm counseling is the ability to understand your role in the relationship. Now, a lot of bad teaching has come out of the church, have come out of religious circles as it pertains to how the relationship is supposed to function, how the relationship is supposed to work, right? And out of this religious dogma, a lot of them see a woman as a slave or a subservient role, right? And the man is the leader. He's the alpha male. He's the alpha dog, right? And that's what's been portrayed for a lot of you people who go to church and what you've heard from the church as it pertains to your relationship role or your role in the relationship with your husband or with your wife. And a lot of that is just bad teaching. And so I'll try to correct some of that today. And hopefully, while I'm talking to you today, it'll start making sense. because teaching like the woman is the weaker vessel, teaching like the husband is the head and wife do what your husband tells you to do, those type of things. Completely misnomers and completely bad translations and bad interpretations of the text. And then a lot of you are going to churches where they don't teach on marriage. They don't even have a marriage ministry where they are helping you develop your relationship with your spouse. And that in turn is a problem. So I'm going to talk to you today. And I'm hoping that when I talk to you today, it will push you to open your eyes as it pertains to what your true role is in marriage. Okay, now let's start from the top. In Genesis, we see God bringing a conscious woman to a sleeping man, and this conscious woman wakes this man up, right? And so it completely destroys the fabrication that women need to be still and wait for a man to find them. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that the Bible teaches that. And if you've been taught that, it's scriptural error. So let me say that again. I do not believe that women, you should be looking for a man anyway. A man should be looking for you. That is completely, totally fabrication of truth. That is not the way that word should be interpreted. He who finds a wife finds a good thing, because if you study the biblical text, if you study the Hebrewic origin surrounding that text, it was never the man, the actual husband, going out to find a wife. It was the actual servants that were sent to find a wife for the king or for the man's son or for his daughter. And a lot of that in when it says he who finds a wife, you really got to understand that, because a lot of what happened was a lot of negotiations that were taking place back then between both parents. Both parents would negotiate to see whether or not this daughter was good for their son, or the vice versa, this son was good for their daughter. And they went into a lot of negotiations because of that. So he who finds a wife is not a man going to look for a wife. He who finds a wife only speaks to not a single person that a man is going to look for a wife, but what it actually speaks to, I need you to catch this, is very important. When you find a spouse, when you find someone, watch this now, when you find someone that fits the mold of what you're looking for, you have found a good thing. Because there are too many passages in the scripture where the woman has found the man. You can go to Eve finding Adam. You can go to even Ruth going to Boaz. And so when you see Ruth going to Boaz, Ruth goes to Boaz. Boaz wasn't looking for a wife. Ruth laid at his feet. She found him. And as she found him, he found her. Now, I need you to get this, because as I begin to start defining roles, it's very important that you readjust your thinking as it pertains to what the man and what the woman is supposed to do in a relationship. Now, I do believe in male headship. I do believe that the male is the head of the house, per se, right? And when I say per se, I'm going to explain that to you. I do believe that the male is head of the house. But I also believe that the woman is the heart of the house. I'm teaching something. I don't want y'all to miss what I just said. As the man is the head of the house, the woman is the heart of the house. Let's try that again. As the man is the head of the house, the woman is the heart of the house. The heart is always stronger than the head, for we are all led by our emotions. So when you start talking about who is mentally stronger in the relationship, who's mentally strong in the relationship is the woman. Who's physically stronger in the relationship typically is the man. Who's physically stronger is the man. Who's mentally stronger is the woman. I need you to understand that. Here's the problem as it pertains to relationships. The problem as it pertains to relationships is that we don't cater to the strengths of the other person. This is why so many marriages are falling apart. Because you don't know how to cater to the strengths of the person that you're married to. I'll say it again. Here is why the house is in trouble. Because we don't know how to cater to the strengths of the person that we're married to. When you don't know how to cater to the strengths of the person that you're married to, you have someone who is unqualified to lead in a particular area, which oftentimes brings destruction to the overall household. Let me say that again. Men being the head of the house doesn't mean that the man runs everything. Men being the head of the house doesn't mean that the man runs everything. And that's where the problem is. The problem is that we're allowing men to run areas where they're not qualified, where they don't have intellect, where they don't have knowledge, where they don't have experience, where they don't have expertise. But what we say is, let's give it all to him. Let's give it all to him and let him do everything. And as he does everything, he's not even qualified to handle everything. I need you to understand, marriage is about identifying the strengths of the other person. I need you to catch this. Marriage is about identifying the strengths of the other person and using their strengths for the benefit of the relationship. I'm going to say it again. Marriage is about finding the strengths of the other person and using their strengths to benefit the relationship. So if you're not strong in finances, then why are you running the money? If you're not strong in finances, why are you running the money? Right? If you're not a good judgment of people, if that's not your strength, and you're not a good judgment of people, you're not a good judgment of character, then who in the relationship is a good judgment of character so that you won't find yourself being taken advantage of? You've got to know each other's strengths. You've got to know what each other bring to the table. So when I talking about follow the leader, I'm talking about follow the gifting. Follow the gifting. Who's ever gifted to perform a certain thing, who's ever gifted to carry out a particular thing, who's ever gifted to do a certain thing, that's who you follow. You follow the one who is gifted in the relationship. So what is the wife gifted to do? If she's gifted to do that, man, be smart enough to let her handle what she's gifted to do. Follow the leader. If the man is strong in that area, woman of God, then why are you fighting with him on the area where he's strong? Let him handle in the area of his strength. You have not proven that you're strong in that particular area, whatever the area is. That is a downfall in the relationship that you have. Are you hearing me? If you bounce checks, then why are you handling the checking account? If you're not going to keep up with what you spend, then why are you handling the checking account? Right? Come on. You should. A wise person says, where are you gifted? And wherever you gifted, that's the place you should lead. I want to say that slow, because I want you to get this. Wherever you're gifted, husband is the place you should lead. Wife, wherever you're gifted is the place you should lead. And if you let a person lead in the area of gifting, then watch this now, and don't try to compete with them in the area of gifting, then the house is going to function a lot smoother. So, what Pastor, how does this have to do with the man being the head of the house, right? Now, let's deal with something. The scripture says, because we hear a lot of this, wives, submit to your husband, or wives, obey your husband. But they never quoted the rest of the text. Obey them according to the Lord, as unto the Lord. Watch this. As unto the Lord. So then a wife's submission is based upon the reflection of the man's image to be the Lord. A wife's submission is predicated upon the man operating as God would operate in the house. So when the man is no longer operating the way God is commanding for the house to operate, the woman is not required to be submitted. So that's why it says, as unto the Lord. Now, not many people won't even read that text. All they say is, wives, be submitted to your husbands. No, be submitted to him as you are submitted to the Lord, which means that he's not going to have you doing something that the Lord would not have you do. And then when he is asking you to do something that the Lord would not have you do, you're no longer required to be submitted to that act. You're no longer required to be submitted to that task. You're no longer required to be submitted to that job, that function, and that responsibility, which means that he is constantly bearing the reflection of the Lord before you. And as he is bearing the reflection of the Lord before you, to rebel against him is equal to rebel against God. Oh, I just said something. Because he is bearing the reflection of the Lord before you. Because he is doing what God would have him do. To move outside of that realm would be, listen, this is why I don't get into all these church women that scream and holler at church, right? This is why I don't get into all this shouting and shaking and shimmering and jucking and jiving at church. All the church women that do that. Because, and it goes back to why the man is upset. Because the pastor asks you to volunteer, you volunteer. Your husband asks you to cook and you got a problem. The pastor asks you to sing on the praise team, you blushing and just love it. Your husband asks you to sing for him, you got a problem. Or y'all go, that was a Holy Ghost clap on that. The pastor asks you to carry out a particular function. Your husband asks you to carry out a particular function, you got a problem. Now you're trying to see why he won't go to church. Because the man is trying to figure out, are you sleeping with the pastor? Because I'm trying to figure out why you're doing everything that man say, and I ask you to do something, and you can't do nothing I say. That's why many men don't do church. They don't do church because they don't want to see their woman running behind some man that's not paying the bills at the house, that's not taking care of the house, that's not looking out for the house. And yet when that man tells you to move, you jump. When pastor goes out to preach, you follow pastor to go out to preach with him. When your husband asks you to go to the football game, or your husband asks you to go fishing, or your husband asks you to do some activity, you got a problem with it. And so I need you to understand. That's the second Holy Ghost clap right there. I need you to understand that the same submission and reverence and honor you give to the Lord is the same submission and reverence and honor that you give to the person that you're married to. Hallelujah. And then let me get to the brothers, because here's why, one of the reasons why many of these women don't like submitting to you. Because the Bible says, husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church. Now, I need you to catch this, because I want you to go back and study the word to show yourself approved. Do you know the Bible never tells the woman to love her husband? You'll never find a scripture in the Bible where the Bible tells the woman to love her husband. I need y'all to hear this. You'll never find a scripture in the Bible, not one, where God tells, the scripture tells, the epistles tell, Jesus tells the woman to love her husband. You will only find in the scripture, where it is the husband who is told to love the wife. The only thing God tells the wife is to submit to the husband. Now, the reason why God doesn't tell the woman to love the husband is because love is innate on the inside of her. God didn't have to speak to what was existing in her. He spoke love to the husband because he knew that the husband would have a difficulty showing the wife the dying affection of Christ. I just said something. He told the husband to love her. He told the husband to love her because he knew that men would have a difficulty showing the woman the dying affection of Christ. Women intrinsically know how to love. Men don't. I'm going to say that again. Don't care what you say. I'm teaching the truth. I don't care if you don't agree with it. It doesn't matter. I'm telling the truth. Men don't know how to love, so they must be told to love. You don't tell the woman to love because she knows how to love. Men don't know how to love. Now, if men don't know how to love, then watch this. Now, automatically, we know that women don't know how to submit. See, God speaks to the area where you have difficulty. God always speaks to the area where you have difficulty. He says, woman, submit, because he knows that you have a difficulty submitting. He tells the husband to love because he knows he has a difficulty in loving. So God gives the command to love to the man. But look at what he says. He said, love her like Christ loved the church, who died and gave himself for it. Here is why women have a problem submitting to a man, because they know you're not going to die for her. They know you're selfish. This is why women have a problem submitting to their husbands, because they know you're selfish. They know you're not going to die for her. They know you're not going to deny yourself for her. They know you're not going to, listen. They know you're not going to give yourself up for her. They know you're not going to sacrifice for her. And so she's saying, why am I going to give all of this to him and he ain't giving a damn thing to me? He ain't loving me like Christ loved the church. Now, how much did Christ love the church? We're talking about follow the leader here. How much did Christ love the church? He loved it so much, he died to his own desire in order so that she may live. Oh God, you don't have to tell a woman to love you when she knows you're willing to die for her. You don't have to tell a woman to love you when she knows you're willing to die for her. You don't have to tell a woman to love you when she knows that you're willing to die for her. When you know oh, y'all better catch this. When she knows in her mind that you're dying to yourself to fulfill the best needs of this family. When she sees you working 2 jobs to make sure that the family is taken care of. When she sees you going hard in the paint for your family. When she knows that you're giving your all to make sure that your family has it together. See, you want her to follow you, but you don't want to die. You want her to follow you, but you don't want to sacrifice. You don't want her to follow you, but you don't want to give up the former life that you used to live before you got married. And can I tell some women to hear something? Listen, I want to make this some wisdom. I want to give y'all some wisdom. I want to give you some wisdom here, ladies. Why are you submitting to a man that has not died to himself so that the relationship could live? I need you to understand. I need you to catch this. Y'all better get this. Submission is a reward for good behavior. Submission is a reward for divine behavior. Submission is a reward for godly behavior. I need you to see this. Submission is a reward for godly behavior. If they're not willing to die for you, like Christ died for the church, then you're not willing to submit to them, because you're submitting to them as unto the Lord. So that when I see you dying, I don't have a problem getting in line. When I see you dying, I don't have a problem lining up. When I see you dying, I don't have a problem getting in position. When I see you dying, I don't have a problem following you. When I see you dying, I don't have a problem cooking and cleaning for you. When I see you dying, I don't have a problem doing it. I don't have a problem doing it. And so, listen, there is no problem to follow the leader. Listen to me. There's no problem following the leader when the woman knows that the leader is constantly dying for the good of the family. Now, I need you to understand. So let me get back to this. Yes, submission is a reward for good behavior. Submission is a reward for godly behavior. Submit unto him as unto the Lord, which means she should never have a problem following you when you're representing Christ well. And a woman that doesn't have it has a rebellious spirit. She has a rebellious spirit, and the house is going to suffer because she won't bring her character in alignment with your kingship. The house is going to suffer. So I talked to you. How much time I got? All right. I talked to you about following the leader, right? And so I'm going back to this point because I want to make sure that I get this point out clear to you. If your relationship is going to work, you decide where you're gifted. You decide where you're gifted. Where are you gifted? Where are you gifted? What are you gifted to do? Now, when we sit down to discover your gifting, I don't get in the way of where you're gifted. Now, here's one of the things that makes a man upset, and I can speak for men on this. When you give him something to do, and you nag to him about it not being done because it's not being done the way you want it done, or it's not being done quick enough, right? It's not being done the way you want it done. Well, I've given you this responsibility. Why don't you handle it? It should have been taken care of. Now, I'm not talking about him not taking care of it to where it lapses or the lights get cut off or something like that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that nagging spirit. There is a nagging spirit that drives a man insane. And there's some women on here right now. You nag, and you nag, and you nag, and nag, and nag, and nag, and nag. Why? Because you want it done a certain way. You want it done the way that you want it done. And you won't even give him the time to fulfill it. You won't even give him the time to do it. Because you won't give him the time to fulfill it, and you won't give him the time to do it. You badger him to the point where he says, I ain't doing nothing, or you do it yourself. Are you saying what I'm saying? And so one of the things I want to give y'all women as a word of wisdom, if you ask your husband to do something, and he says he's going to take care of it. Now, I'm talking about the lights not being cut off. Well, I'm going to pay it, and then the lights get cut off. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you've asked him to do something, right? And he's not doing it the way you want it to be done. And then you nagging him about getting it done. This is why many men stay late after work. This is why many men go get a beer after work. This is why many men don't want to be around you after work. They drive home slow. Because they know that you don't have no control over this mouth. If you're going to follow the leader, then when you give him the responsibility that he said he's going to handle, let him handle it without you badgering him. Do it. When are you going to do it? I thought you said you was going to do it. I said I'm going to do it. Would you let me do it? Follow the leader means to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. You're trusting. Okay, I gave it to you. I'm going to let you handle it. Now, men, what you can't do is gripe when something happens that you don't handle. And it comes back and it burns the house. It comes back and it burns the family. It comes back and it burns the finances. Because women don't forget. And a lot of times why women are nagging is because you missed the mark somewhere and she hasn't forgotten it. Watch this now. It's not, she ain't forgave me. It's not that she hasn't forgave you. She's not trusting your wisdom in this. And when she doesn't trust your wisdom in this, that's why she's keep talking to you about this. I'm trying to help some married people out right now. Guys, if you said you were going to do something that didn't get done, and it affected the house negatively, she's going to remember it, which oftentimes is why she's nagging about it, because she asked you to take care of it and you didn't take care of it. You didn't take care of it, and something happened negatively in the house, now the next time you say you're going to handle something, then you got to deal with that mouth. Just going, just going, just going, just going, just going. And you're dealing with that mouth because she doesn't trust that you said you're going to do what you were going to do because you waited till the last minute to do it the last time and it affected the house negatively. And so what you have to do is win her over again by showing her that you're going to get it taken care of. Watch this. And once you start getting it taken care of, she needs to back off of you from handling certain things. And ladies, that's what you got to do. I'm just trying to give you some wisdom right now and some things that happened in my relationship with me and my wife, right? And as this happened in relationship with me and my wife, we have bettered ourselves from it because I realized what she's gifted. There's a lot of things that my wife cannot do. She can't do. There's a lot of things I can't do. Doesn't mean that we're not a good match for each other. It means that if I'm not doing something and the house is suffering, if I can't do something and the house is suffering, it speaks to my inability to find the wisdom in her to get it done. Because God is not going to bring you somebody that doesn't have the answer that you need to handle the weakness that you have. I just said something. God is not going to bring somebody in your life that doesn't have the strength that you need to compensate for the weakness that you have. He's going to bring somebody in your life that has the strength that you need to compensate for the weakness that you have. And when they bring someone, when that person comes in and they have that strength, be wise enough to back the hell up and let them do what they said they're going to do. Let them handle it. 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 Now we're going to talk about following the leader because I want to talk real quickly to mixed couples that have children from other relationships as pertains to follow the leader. Couples that have children from mixed relationships. You married to him, she's married to you, and y'all have children from other relationships, right? Now we're going to talk about follow the leader on this because this is very important. How do you follow the leader? What is the lead when a child comes in? There's a child from a previous relationship. They're living with you guys, right? How do you follow the lead on that? If it's a young man, if it's a child, you and your wife have to sit down and agree that you're going to be the leader of the house, especially when you're paying the bills, right? And then as it pertains to the blended families, thank you, Keisha, as it pertains to the blended families, there needs to be a conversation between you and the ex. That, hey, I'm in the house now. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to respect you in your role. That's if that ex is involved in that child's life. But as it pertains to following the leader, you know, there are a lot of things that I'm finding out with blended families as it pertains to following the leader is we run into the problem of discipline, right? Don't discipline my son. Negro, you ain't even in the son's life. And how you going to have the right to say don't discipline my son? Or when the child goes and he's with the dad and the dad is with a new woman. I don't want that woman saying nothing to my son. I don't want that woman saying nothing to my child. I don't want that woman saying nothing to them, right? And so now we have the problem with that child being in that house and the woman who's the husband's not married to can't say anything to your child. These are the issues when you don't understand about following the leader that has the problem, right? And so when I start talking about following the leader, I'm talking about who has the wisdom now on how to handle situations like that. I need you to understand. One of you may have wisdom in a particular area that the other may not have. Doesn't mean that you're dumb. Doesn't mean that you're ignorant. Doesn't mean that you're stupid. It means that this person may have wisdom on this particular subject. And so if they have wisdom on that particular subject, how do you handle it? And so one of the things that's going to have to happen since the family is blended, somebody's going to have to be, now here it is, somebody's going to have to be mature enough to handle the conversation between the new wife and your husband, or the new husband, right, and the wife. That's going to have to be addressed. And the way you follow the leader on that is who has the wisdom in this on how to handle it. Okay, well, if she don't want you discipline, then you don't discipline. But then listen, if your wife can't discipline your child from a previous marriage, then that means that you're going to have to be there and the wife can be left there with the child. This is wisdom. This is just following the leader. Following the leader means that I'm going to take this. I'm not going to let you take this L so that you have to deal with my ex-wife. I'm not going to let you take this L so you have to deal with my ex-husband. Are you understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm quick to say that, but when a parent doesn't have anything to do with the child's life, how in the world can that parent say anything about how that child is being raised? Wisdom says that that person can't say anything. How in the hell are you going to say something to me about my child and you don't even pay child support? How you going to say anything about, you don't even come visit, you don't even come see. And at that point, that joker shouldn't have anything to do with what that person is now doing in the relationship, where that person is taking care of that man's son or that man's daughter, and that joker ain't in the life. Then that man is not a stepfather. That man is a father. I'm gonna say that again. That man is not a stepfather. That man is a father. And I feel sorry for every man that has to deal with a woman that has children. But you have to be a stepfather to them, and that joker eating out of your paycheck. You bought their school clothes. You bought their, come on. You pay them when they get sick. You buy them the groceries, but you can't say nothing to them. No, that is ignorance. That's stupid. And you're following somebody who's unworthy to lead. There is no such thing as a stepfather when you're paying all the bills. That's my stepdaddy. And you stop the child from saying it. Be the leader and stop the child from treating him like a stepfather when that joker paying the bills. Let me smile. He paying the bills. And you going to let your son say, that's my stepdaddy. No, your stepdaddy bought them Jordans. Your stepdaddy bought that book bag. Your stepdaddy bought that clue. And you ain't seen your daddy. So he ain't step nothing. That's daddy. That's daddy. And you got to be able to step up and support your mate when you see that your child is getting out of hand. You got to step it up. 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 Now, if the father is in the child's life, if the mother is in the child's life and they're providing for the child, then those situations are different. And that's when the adults need to sit down and talk. Well, we can't talk to him. We can't talk to him. He won't talk. And he don't want him saying nothing to his son. He don't want him saying nothing to his son. He don't want him saying nothing to his son or daughter. She don't want her saying nothing to her daughter. She don't want her saying nothing to her son. All right, those are some immature people. He's over with you, boo. He don't want you no more. Stop being mad so he can be a dad. Stop being mad because the child has to be raised. You let the daughter go over there, so stop being mad. Go ahead and talk so the child can be raised. He don't want you no more, boo. He got a new woman. He's sleeping with her now. He don't get over it. Get over it. And if you're going to send the child over there, then you're going to have to be an adult to know how to handle the situation. Ooh, Spiller's teaching today. I may not get a lot of likes on this, but Spiller's teaching today because you're going to have to grow up. Man, listen, he going to have to grow up. Watch this. He going to have to grow up. If you with another man, and that man is there, he gonna have to grow up. He gonna have to grow up. Look. She don't want you no more, bro. Ain't no need of you get mad at the new man that's in there taking your space. She don't want you no more. She moved on. She got some new thing. She got a new thing. She got a new thing in her life. She don't want you no more. Now we're thinking about the child. What is in the best interest of that child's life if that child is going to be in both of their presence? What does that person supposed to do? And you've got to be able to sit down and talk to each other so that you can have a good understanding of that. Guys, I'm trying to help y'all. I hope I'm helping you. I'm hoping I'm giving you some wisdom. I've counseled people like this. And in counseling people like this, stepchildren can create a divorce. Exes can create a divorce because you're not willing to step up and make some statements that need to be made, right? So when we start talking about following the leader, we talk about who's gifted in the house to do certain things, right? We start talking about following the leader, not just as it pertains to who's gifted in the house to do certain things. We talking about the leader as it pertains to stepchildren, how you handle the stepchildren matrix. At least that's my words of wisdom to you. You don't have to follow them. Just stay miserable. You don't have to follow them. Just stay mad. You don't have to follow them. Keep missing on your new Adam because your man has found his own Eve. And now you can't even get a good man. The reason why you can't get another man in your life is because you're still mad at your ex-husband. Your ex-husband moved on. Your ex-wife moved on. And you holding up your life because you're still mad at how they did your life. Listen, forget them. The hell with them. Move on with your life. Stop being bitter that he got another woman. Stop being bitter that the other woman's coming around. Stop being bitter that the other man is coming around. Get over it. They moved on. It's time for you to move on. There is an Adam out there for you. There's an Eve out there for you. And you just got to recognize who you are in your gifting and move on. It's over. Let it go. Right? Let it go. Let it go. So, let me hit you with this last thing I want to give you as it pertains to following the leader. And this is about church, right? This is a very sensitive subject. because we're going to talk about church now, right? Follow the leader. All right. There is a problem with the church culture and the marriage as it pertains to following the leader. And I want to define this so that you can get a good understanding, because I'm seeing some problems with people who are in church. And the husband's role as it pertains to the house, wife's role as it pertains to the house, and the pastor's role as it pertains to the wife or the husband or the house as a whole. Let me make this first statement. Your pastor is not your husband. Your pastor is not your wife. Right? Right? You got to live with them. What work in your pastor house don't work in your house. How a pastor talk to first lady ain't how you can talk to your first lady. What work for pastor, here's some wisdom. Y'all better hear this. Y'all better hear this wisdom. What work for pastor and them may not work for you and them. What work in their house may not work in your house. You got to decide what works in your house. Just because pastor's first lady ain't your wife. She ain't going to talk to you. Your wife ain't going to talk to you like first lady talk to pastor. Right? I wish you talked to me like first lady talk to pastor. You don't know what pastor and first lady dealing with. You don't even know. Most of these first ladies and pastors putting on the front in front of y'all, they can't even stand each other. There's some pastors that ain't touched their wives in years. Okay? So don't buy the facade that you see in front of the church. Most of these men and women of God don't even love each other. They're doing it because if they break up, it's going to hurt the tithe and the offering. So they have to stay together to keep the house, to keep the car, to keep the perception. They don't even like each other. That's why he's getting booty on the side, and that's why she has a dildo in her dresser. I'm telling you what I know. I ain't telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. So you have to decide what works in your house. What's going to work for you guys? How are you guys going to work, right? Pastor may run the money in this house, but you can't run the money in your house. You ain't even like keeping up with the check balances. You ain't pastor. You ain't pastor. You. Right? First lady. You ain't first lady. You ain't first lady. You. You can't be first lady. You can't be. You can't be first lady. And so since you can't be first lady, be you. Right? What? Listen, I'm talking about church ministry. What works in your house is going to work in your house. Now, I'm not talking about getting outside of the will of God. But I am saying that you got to know what the other person brings to the table. And I see a lot of these people trying to be like their pastor and trying to be like their first lady. And you can't be them because you're not them. You got to be you. You got to be you. You ain't Raphael Spiller. You don't know what Teresa puts up with. You don't know what I put up with. And so the way I talk to Teresa works in my house. You probably can't talk to Teresa like I talk to Teresa. You probably can't talk to your husband like Teresa talks to me. You got to learn who you are, and you got to learn what works in your house, and you got to learn what keep you together. I wish you talked to me like Pastor talked to his wife. He talking to her like that in front of y'all. You don't know what he's saying when he's driving home in the car with her. That's if they don't drive two separate cars to the church. So I'm talking about this ministry thing. And this ministry thing, you got to understand what works in your house works in your house. Y'all go to these marriage conferences and y'all listen to these pastors about how they are with their wife. That ain't your wife on the stage that's up there talking. That's not your husband up there on the stage that's up there talking. That's not them. You're not them on the stage, right? Now, there are some general, universal principles that can work in everybody's house. But you got to be able to define your role and know what works for you. If you talk nasty, then don't try to change how nasty you are to be holy. Keep talking nasty. Talk nasty to your wife. Talk nasty to your husband. Well, we shouldn't say that because, Pastor First Lady, no. What attracted him to you is that you are a gutter nasty. You a nasty chick. That's why he loved you. You nasty. You know you nasty. You done fooled around and got in the faith and lost your nastiness, and he about to lose his mind because you ain't nasty no more. No. Be a leader in being nasty. Be as nasty as you was when you first met him. Be nasty on purpose because he fell in love with a nasty chick. Don't try to get in church and clean up and don't be nasty for him no more. Continue to be nasty. Man of God, man of God, man of God. Listen, be you, man of God. You know who your wife fell in love with. Don't come and try and change and be like your pastor and hitherto and therefore and all this other stuff. Be true to yourself. She fell in love with you. She fell in love with you. It's you who she fell in love with. And you got to know that it's okay to be you. I'm looking at all these church pastors and these first ladies and out here, and they doing these marriage conferences, and all this stuff is superficial. It's so superficial. That ain't how they deal with each other. Look. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that because I was getting ready to go off on one of them tangents, and I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna talk about no preacher and his wife today, but I'm gonna say, listen, you got to know what works for you. Right? You got to work because I'm seeing all these conferences take place. I'm seeing all these books that's being written, and I'm saying to myself, look, when I listen to it, that ain't how marriage work. That ain't how marriage work. I'm saying to myself, marriage don't work like that. Marriage don't work like that. Marriage don't work like that. That ain't how it works. You can get as many Bibles as you want. You can read as many books as you want. Right? All right. Let me give y'all something. You want to know how nasty you're supposed to be in your marriage? You ought to read Songs of Solomon. This is in the Bible, right? You ought to read Songs of Solomon in the Bible. Songs of Solomon got to be one of the nastiest books that I ever read, right? Right? And so when you start talking about following leader, somebody got to lead in being nasty, in being sexually erotic, so that your relationship can stay where it needs to be. I need you to catch this in the Spirit of God. When I start talking about follow the leader, I'm saying, who is the leader in the relationship? Your wife ain't never really approached you sexually. You've always been the initiator of sexuality in your relationship. Now, why are you trying to change? Because the pastor's wife got up and talking about how aggressive she is and said, I wish you'd be aggressive like that with me. Y'all ain't never been aggressive like that. That ain't in her M.O. She been passive about sex the whole time y'all been together. Right? Now you're trying to change it because you went to a conference and you heard somebody talk about how aggressive she is sexually. I wish my wife was aggressive like this. So shut up! Don't you dare try to compare her to some skeezer on stage. No. Your wife fell in love with you because you was the initiator sexually, and now you don't want to be the initiator sexually because you heard somebody else say that? No! That's not how this works. She was that person when you dated her. She was that person when you got married. She was that person now that you with her. She was that person. You led in that area. Don't go to be a good leader in that area. Don't try to switch it because you heard somebody say something, or you read something in a book, or you saw some hoe at your job coming on to you aggressively, and you wish your wife was like that. That's not what she was. And you fell in love with her because you were able to seduce her. You fell in love with her because you were able to train her. You fell in love with her because you were able to take her to a whole nother level sexually. That's why you fell in love with her. And now you wanted to change? No. Continue to be the leader that you were when you first got together. Don't you ever compare your mate to somebody else. You lost your mind? No. Come on, man. Come on. Don't you dare change because of what you heard someone else say. Your wife is your wife, and your husband is your husband. I wish you work out like Pastor work out. What? What? You wish you worked out like Pastor, or they worked out, or men at the gym that's working out, you wished he was like them? Why? Because you lost a few pounds? Why? Because you lost some weight, and now you're critical of him because you lost weight? Right? And now you want him to be you. You want him to do you. No, boo. No. His stomach wasn't getting in the way when your stomach was there. His stomach wasn't getting in the way when your stomach was there. Now you trying to flex because you lost some weight? No, boo. No, boo. That ain't how that work. Follow the leader. Right? He's the same. He healthier. He may be thicker, but his love for you ain't changed. Well, if he loved me, Pastor, he need to go do this. He need to go do that. Listen, we can say the same thing about you. See, my whole thing is, and the reason why I'm teaching us about marriage, because we got all these kids that are going around trying to get married, and they don't know a doggone thing about marriage. And because they don't know a doggone thing about marriage, that's why they're in trouble. They know nothing about marriage. Absolutely nothing about marriage. And so what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to give you a good picture of what it means to follow the leader. Because the end and closing of this is the one leader that we're all supposed to be following is God. This is what saved my marriage. Save My Marriage was this book. I know it's old and antiquated and people don't believe in it anymore. That's fine. But what saved my marriage is my relationship with God. Me and my wife were going to separate long time ago. We were going to separate a long time ago because we had irreconcilable differences. Wasn't nobody cheated or nothing like that. We just found out we were unequally yoked, man. We found out we were unequally yoked, right? And so when we found out we were unequally yoked, we were going to leave. We're going to separate. You go do you. I'm going to do me. Do you. And my wife came to me when I was getting ready to leave, and she said to me, she said, honey, have we tried this God's way? You know what I told her? I ain't trying to hear a damn thing about God. I'm being 100% transparent now. Don't judge me. I told her I ain't trying to hear a damn thing about God right now. I'm not trying to hear about God. Don't try to bring God up to me right now. You ain't trying to bring God up when you was acting a fool. Don't try to bring God up to me right now. I'm leaving. And so I'm packing. I'm getting ready to go. I'm done. I'm done with this relationship, And I know when it's the Spirit of God. You know when it's the Spirit of God because He tells you something you don't want to hear. And the Spirit of God said, you've never tried it my way. You've never tried it my way. You've never tried to live your marriage the way that I designed it. I know that's the Spirit of God. I'm not trying to hear the Spirit of God right now. I'm trying to validate me getting the hell out of this house. That's what I'm trying to do. So when the Spirit of God convicted me, this is one thing why you want to marry a believer. Because if the Spirit of God truly convicts them, if the Spirit of God convicts them, that believer is going to be subservient to that conviction. So I come downstairs, and I said, no, we hadn't done it God's way. I said, and so we decided to do it God's way. Now, the thing about doing it God's way, God told me, don't focus on her imperfections. Again, this may not work for your marriage, so don't try it. But God told me, don't focus on her imperfections. Don't talk about what's wrong with her. What? He said, I want you to come after me. That's what I want you to do. Rabbi, I just want you to come after me. I want you to fix you. I don't want you to concentrate on Teresa. I want you to fix you. I said, well, who's going to fix her? He said, that's my job. He said, I want you to act like she's acting like she's supposed to act so you can act the way you need to act. See, I know that's God because I ain't that smart to come up with that. He said, I want you to act like she's acting like she's supposed to act so that you can act like you need to act. Yes, you can be a believer and not be convicted. I'm finna finish it like this. And so I took the approach and saying, see, now I'm fulfilling my role. I'm not fulfilling my role because she's making me happy. I'm fulfilling my role because that's what God wanted me to do. I had to act like she was acting like she was supposed to act so I can act the way I needed to act. Y'all, that's the word today. I had to act like I was supposed to act. I had to act like she was acting like she was supposed to act so I can act the way I needed to act. I started being a husband even when she wasn't being a wife. She started being a wife even when I wasn't being a husband. That's what saved us. We took us out of the way and invited him in. And we start committing to work on each other. I didn't want to work on her anymore. But what happens if she don't change? Shut up. That's your problem. You talk too much. If you believe in God, then your leadership is what's going to cause the conversion. Well, what happens if they don't lead? Then leave. Oh, did y'all hear that? It's just that simple. What happens if they don't lead? Then leave. It's just that simple. What happens if they don't want to change? Stop trying to make it rocket science. You love the abuse. That's why you're staying there. You should have been left. You love being abused. That's why you're not going anywhere. But if you're going to take the advice today, they don't want to change, pack up and leave. Oh, see, now you're scared now. Now you're scared. I challenge you to leave, and you ain't going to leave. But what you are going to do is you're going to sit there and complain and not fix anything. And you are the type of person that's just as sorry as they are. Because you'd rather complain about it rather than do something to fix it. And if you can't fix it, you ain't going to get up and leave. So you just rather sit there and complain about the person that you're with. You sorry just like they are. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But when you are really ready to change, you will get up and you will make the adjustment. You'll make the adjustment, even if the adjustment means it's time for you to pack and leave. That's an adjustment. Well, the Bible's against divorce. I didn't say divorce, but sometimes you need to separate for peace sake. Now, the Bible does say that. Separate for peace sake. Don't separate and go get no new penis, though. Don't separate and go get no new vagina. That is not what the Bible said. You're separating for the purpose of reconciliation. And sometimes you got to walk out to let the joker know that you mean business. Sometimes you got to walk out. Sometimes you got to cut off the resources so you can let the joker know you mean business. Listen, this ain't no game. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life being miserable with you. You done lost your freaking mind. I'm 50 years old. God only promised me 20 more. I'm not going to spend the next 20 of my years dealing with somebody that don't want to be with me. You done lost your mind. True. So if they don't want to do it, then leave. But you're not going to leave because you like the abuse. I dare you say I like the abuse. Well, why are you still there? Well, I don't have nowhere to go. You got an excuse for everything, don't you? You also have an excuse for why you don't pray. You have an excuse for why you're not submitted. You have an excuse for why you're not being God in relationship. You have an excuse for why you're not sexing her down. You have an excuse for why you're not sexing him down. You have an excuse for why you're not talking. You have an excuse for why you're not leading. You have an excuse for everything. You have an excuse for everything because you're still a child. You're still a toddler in an adult's body. You're still a babe, and you should have never got married because you wasn't ready to grow up. But when you're ready to grow up, you're going to do what you need to do to fix it, even if fixing it means I got to go. Praise the Lord. I want to take a couple of questions. Hopefully y'all not mad at me. And if you are, you'll get over it. Let's take some questions right now. Any questions out there that I can take right now on following a leader? I'm hard on marriage, man. Listen, I'm hard on marriage. I am hard on marriage. I am hard on marriage. I'm hard on adults. Why? Because oftentimes children are involved. I am hard when it comes to marriage. So if you don't like that you want me to pat you on the back and rub you on your head, I'm not doing that. It's time to get up and do something. So now, with that being said, right. I didn't say separate to go find some new penis and go find some new vagina. That is not why I said separate. And that's why some of y'all trying to separate, because you're trying to go shag somebody. I'm just trying to shag them. I ain't had none, I'm just trying to shag them. And no more shagging. If you're going to separate, you're separating for reconciliation. You're separating to show them that you're serious about doing it. Is courting and dating important before marriage? Courting and dating is two different things in my definition. Dating should be with multiple partners. Courting is when it becomes exclusive. Notice the word courting comes from the word court. And in court, there is interrogation. Right? Dating should be with a whole bunch of people. And I say this to every single. Date as many people as you can. Right? But when you're courting, it becomes exclusive. And courting is about court. Right? And if you're in court, it's interrogation time. It's time to find out if they are what they say they are. If they can handle all your issues. You can find out that 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 20-year plan. It's time to start pulling credit reports to see how bad your credit is. Start pulling out checking accounts, saving accounts, and see how much money you got. It's time to know if you're living with your mom, if you have your own house. It's time to know if you're a gold digger. It's time to know all those different things. When you're courting, it becomes exclusive. And exclusivity means I'm going to check out everything that you've been talking about to make sure that everything is together. Okay. Advice for women with cheating husbands if he's trying to work it out. If he's trying to work it out, punish him. Oh, y'all not going to like this part. I was wondering when somebody was going to ask that. I said punish him. He's not going to respect you if you don't punish him. You have to punish him. If he cheats, punish him. Let me explain to you what I mean by punish him so that y'all won't get it taken for granted, because y'all will miss that. When he said punish him, listen to me. He needs to jump through every hoop that you can possibly imagine. He doesn't own his cell phone anymore. She don't own her cell phone anymore. You can check all emails. You can check all cell phone messages. Punish them. Let them know, okay, if you're going to be with me, you're going to deal with this. I need your phone. I need access to your phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I need to know where you are, who you're with. I need to have access to your email addresses. I need to know, because in order for him to get back with you, there has to be a level of trust. If he's not willing to get and connect to a level of trust, then you got a problem. If she's not willing to commit to the level, you got a problem, right? I'm not going to give you my phone. Boo, you better leave before he give you an STD. You better leave before he give you herpes simplex 10. You better leave before he give you HIV. You better leave for your whole uterus fall out, right? If he doesn't want to go through that with you, Lanny, if he doesn't want to go through that with you, they don't want to go through it, then they don't want you. But if they want you, they have no more secrets, and everything has to be open. You got to know where they are, who they talking to, until you can get through it, and you can start trusting them again. And when you can start trusting them again, you can start trusting them again, and they show you that they can be trusted now because they have no secrets. Then there's nothing wrong with you working it out. Okay? All right. I just want to make sure that y'all get that. Let's see. Is that another one? If you're married in different religion, what does that mean? To leave or to stay? I want to make sure, Jeffrey, I get it. To leave or to stay, to work with them, work it out, whatever it is. I want to understand that, Jeffrey. So if you can let me know, if you're married and different religion, what is the question about it? Because I don't know if you asked me to leave or how you should work in the relationship or whatnot. And I don't want to just take it one way. Michelle Dixon, advice for women, men who cheat to feel wanted and appreciated. Advice to men and women who cheat to feel wanted and appreciated. What would I say to a person that cheats because they want to feel wanted and appreciated? Grow the hell up. Okay? Grow up. That's what I would say to them. That's what I would say to that. You want to feel wanted and appreciated? Grow up, bro. Grow up. Don't cheat. I just want to feel appreciated. No, bro. No. You cheated because you like vagina. No, sis, you cheated because you like penis. That's why you cheated. And you don't care where you get it from. You don't care where you get the penis from. You don't care where you get the vagina from. That's why you did it. You did it because you lost sight of the value of the person that you were with. And you actually thought that in sleeping with them, the person that you were with was so low on the totem pole that when even you got found out, they wouldn't leave you. That's what you thought about the person you cheated on. You thought about the person you cheated on. Listen, I cheated on them. They're so low to me. They're so devalued to me that even if they found out that I cheated, they still wouldn't leave because I got them that whipped, right? They're that stupid. They're that dumb. They're that naive, right? And that's what you were thinking because, see, you cheat in arrogance. When a person cheats, they cheat in arrogance. It's not wanting and appreciating. It's arrogance. It's pride, right? It's selfishness. And that's why they cheat. It's not about being wanted and appreciated. No, you cheated because that's why you cheated. If a woman cheats, if you cheat and you're still married, well, our relationship was over anyway. Well, boo, get the divorce. Why play the game? Get the divorce and move on. That's what I say. Get the divorce and move on. Okay. What do you do when the one you love and was married to leaves and never attempts to try? Boo, you better get them papers signed and let Boaz come find you. Get Boaz to find you. Get away from broke ass, dumb ass, stupid ass, po ass, and beat your ass. Get away from them. If they don't want to work it out, get away from them. There is a Boaz that's out there for you. There is a man and a woman that's out there for you. And get away from them. Let's see. Let me find another question here. How do you feel about separate bank accounts after infidelities? I don't have a yes or no to it. You know, I know married people that have separate bank accounts, and they have to because the husband or the wife is a spender. And so I advise them to get separate bank accounts before they get evicted or foreclosed on, right? So sometimes I do advise for people to get separate bank accounts. But after infidelities, you're getting a separate bank account. You're getting it because you're trying to protect yourself. And I understand why you would do that. And I would tell anybody that's dealing with infidelities, they better stop putting all their money into one account. That's not wisdom. That's stupid. You better start cashing some checks or pulling cash out and setting cash to the side. That's my advice. That's my advice when you're dealing with someone who continues to cheat. Since you're not going to be wise enough to leave, at least be wise enough to put some money to the side. All right, let's go on. Let's get it. Is there anything biblical that states there can't be separate bank accounts? There is nothing that says there can't be separate bank accounts. There's no scripture, chapter, and verse for that. That's why I say what works in your house better work in your house. Y'all heard me? Just because the pastor said, we don't believe in separate bank accounts. That's borderline divorce. But your wife must not be spending all the money. Or your husband must be spending all the money. Or your husband's not a crackhead. Or your wife's not a crackhead. Right? That's why I told y'all, don't be listening to these fools up there talking, trying to give you advice for your house because it works in their house. It may not work in your house because they don't know who and what you're dealing with. So I do not believe in that. How do you discipline a child who is not in the home? The best way you can. How do you discipline a child who's not in the home? Best way you can. If they're not in the home, you know, I mean, there's nothing you really can do to discipline them when they're not in the home. You can try to give them words of wisdom. But there's really nothing you can do to this one. How do you handle addiction? Depends on what type of addiction you're talking about, Lori. And there's many addictions: drugs, sexual. There's a lot of addictions. So I want to know what that meant. Let's see. Let me get any more questions. If you're married, all right, there you go, Jeff. I got you. What if you're married, staying in the same house, but in different religions? Should the woman follow the man or vice versa? I believe that the woman should follow the man. Right? However, now we're talking about two Christians. We're talking about two Christians, right? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about two Christians. Now, what if the Bible commands to not be equally yoked in your faith? So in that situation, Jeff, you have a problem. So with that, if the wife, let's just use, Jeff is a Muslim, his wife is a Christian. Jeff says, the Bible says, follow your husband. So Jeff wants his wife to stop being a Christian and become a Muslim. Right? Would that work? Well, that woman, by the scripture, would be able to say no. Because by the scripture, I'm not following you as unto the Lord, because the Lord wouldn't want me to change based on her religious paradigm. Based on her religious paradigm. Her religious paradigm is, I can't follow you to the Islamic faith because that's against my faith. You understand? Now, that's what I would say. Now, if she's willing to do that, then she's willing to do that. But if she's not, then I can't say that her faith would allow her to do it according to what she read in the Word of God. Let's go, keep going. All right, Sharonda, how do you make the marriage work if he or she always putting one down with words to make themselves feel better? You're dealing with a child, Sharonda. That's a child, right? That's a child. That's someone who hasn't learned how to communicate or talk. Verbal abuse to me is almost like physical abuse, right? You can't grow from under it. So verbal abuse is just like physical abuse. So you have to pick and choose if you want to stay under that verbal abuse. Right? Well, we can work it out. Okay, has it worked out? Pastor, you telling people to divorce. I ain't told people to do nothing. I'm saying evaluate the situation and make a decision. Because if they're talking down to you, they're probably talking down to you. Only time a person talks down to you is because they know how to communicate. And when they talk down to you, it's because you're getting the best of the conversation and they have to throw a low blow so that the conversation can no longer be on what the issue is, but now we're arguing over the adjective you used, right? And so that is a person that doesn't want to change. They want to deal with their issue, right? And so when you're getting the best of them in the relationship, then they usually start throwing out adjectives to suppress the conversation because they know they can't win. That is a very immature person. You have to decide whether or not you want to be married to a child or whether or not you want to be married to an adult. Okay. My husband doesn't discipline his son that doesn't live in our household. When I say something to my husband, it causes arguments. Oh, gotcha. My husband doesn't discipline his son that doesn't live in our household. Well, if you don't live in your household, and it's his son, what you can't change, don't argue about. Uh-oh, y'all just heard me say a word of wisdom. What you can't change, don't argue about. That was a Holy Ghost clap right there. A house divided won't stand. Let's see. Della, there's Della. If the wife takes on the responsibility of her mother and her siblings, but cannot prepare a meal for her husband that works 12 hours a day, is she wrong? Absolutely. She's wrong. She's wrong. Her husband is first. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. Are y'all hear me? Are you hearing me? So, your husband is first. He is first. Don't dishonor him by taking care of people outside of your marriage first. They get the leftovers. He is the king. He gets first, like you're the queen. So anybody else is kind of a leftover, right? So everybody else is a leftover. They don't come before him. And they don't come before her. Della, that's a good question. So make sure that he's taken care of, especially if he's working hard. Shoot. If he working hard, he come home, ain't no food ready. You over there taking care of your brothers and sisters and your mom and your daddy and your no. Mom and daddy, unless y'all worked out something. If the husband's okay with it, then fine. But if he's not okay with it, I'm not okay with it. Even if he ain't, even if he is, I'm not okay with it. But if it works in your house, then keep going in that direction. I thought that the marriage should be a team. I don't know how to handle everything. I just need the wisdom to delegate. True? Yes. That's true, Brother Lloyd. How How do you be in a relationship with a man that lives a secret life? My friend guy is very secretive to the point that I haven't even met his kids yet. It's been a months and months. Boo. If he hiding something, now, wisdom say he gonna hide stuff later. You can't go forward with him. And you need to hear that me say that to you now. Who is this that was talking? Monique, you can't go forward with that. There's too many red flags in the beginning. If I'm a Christian and someone I'm courting is of a different religion, does it make us unequally yoked? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because eventually your faith is going to come into question about how you handle certain things, especially when the religion teaches female suppression, right? There's a lot of religions that teach female suppression, and you know you're not about to be suppressed. Now, if you're one of those women that's a robot and you do whatever he says, then okay. But I don't know too many women that are like that. And if you're not that type of woman, then be very careful with that. Let's see. I'm going to take a couple of more. What do you do when you feel unwanted and empty in your home, but you're both there? It doesn't feel like there is a marriage. There are no talking, no nothing, complete strangers. Sounds like you're already divorced, y'all just still together. And you have to rekindle that, and that's where you have a table meeting and you sit down and you talk to each other to make sure that y'all are still heading down the same path. And if you're not, then y'all need to go your own separate way. How do you get your spouse to stay out of your business with your other children's mother? Oh, Sam. That's hard, Sam. That's hard because she's in the business, because sometimes she don't want to feel like you getting taken advantage of and you get manipulated. That's hard. She cares about you. You know, and if she cares about you and she sees something that you don't see, she feels like she needs to be involved to protect you. That could be an issue. That could be. It's hard to get her out, you know, and if you really want her out and she don't want to get out, then you have to make a decision on what you want to do, or else y'all going to be arguing about that forever, right? She needs to know her role. If that's not where you want her to be, she needs to chill, and if she can't chill, then it's already over. It's already over, right? And it's going to get perpetually worse. So you have to think about that. How to deal with a drug addiction. I see that, Lori. How you deal with a drug addiction? They need to first want change, number one. Number two, after they want change, submit to some environment that's going to help them get that change. That's number two. Number three, after they submit to get that change, usually when they come out of the drug rehab, there are certain things that they can't do, like they can't handle money. They have to be able to check in about where they are at all times. So when you're dealing with a drug addiction, you got to make sure that the person wants to help. If they don't want to help, then the relationship is already over. All right. What if you have different views on child discipline? That can be a problem, man. Child discipline can be a very problem. Because some want to whoop, some don't want to whoop. Some want to punish, some don't want to punish. I come from a whooping background. I believe in whooping that child. Not abusing that child, but I do believe in whooping that child. I do believe in that form of discipline. There are some people that don't. There's some people that just believe in talking, and that works for them. I believe that in that situation, y'all both have to come to an agreement and an understanding on how that child is going to be disciplined. Right? And if you can't come to a child agreement on how the child is going to be disciplined, that child is going to use it against you. May not use it now, but they're definitely going to use it later on when they grow up. What about men that put their mothers before their wives? That's a man who puts his mother before his wife is a man that was never ready to get married. Now, if the mother is sick, that's a different scenario, and that should have been talked about before y'all got together. If the mother becomes sick when y'all got together and he's there, then you have to be mature enough to work with him while he's doing it with his mother. But if the mother is not sick, then he's sick. He's sick in the head, and you need to consider that he's always put his mother before you, right? And so that's a sick relationship. It's actually nasty. So let's keep going. All right, so that'll kind of do it. I kind of answered a lot of questions for you today. I wanted to get through a lot of questions. I hope this was a blessing to you. Share this with people who need to hear this. Share this with people who need to hear this. If this is a blessing to you, we put our website up there. Just go and sow $1 into what you heard today. We're going to ask you to sow $1, $1. You sow $1, it'd be greatly appreciated. Whatever God tells you to sow, but if you sow $1, it would be greatly appreciated for what's going on. I shared a lot with you today. I'll be back on tomorrow. We had a big breaking today. Usually I'm on every day at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, but we had a family emergency with one of our babies. Our dog is a baby to us, And so he got bit by another dog. So I was at the vet all day with him. So for those of you who received 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, be on tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to talk about sex. We're going to talk about the bedroom undefiled. I'm going to talk to y'all about how to help your spouse get over molestation and sexual abuse. I'm going to tell you what you need to do to help your spouse get over molestation and sexual abuse. I'm going to tell you what you need to do to keep the spice in your marriage. I'm going to tell you, we're going to talk about fellatio. We're going to talk about oral sex, whatever you want to call it. We're going to talk about anal sex. We're going to talk about every sex. We're going to talk about sex. We're going to talk about foot fetishes. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about everything. Anything you think of, having sex outside, having sex inside. We're going to talk about role play. We're going to talk about S&D, sadomasochism. We're going to talk about all of it. We're going to talk about bondage. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about sex and marriage tomorrow, and you got to be on here when we talk about that. This is probably going to be one of our most talked about ones that I'm going to do tomorrow. Y'all know that I never hold back. 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. Can't wait to talk to you about sex and marriage. It's going to be off the chain. I'm not holding anything back. So if you want to know how to keep the spice in your marriage, you want to talk about, we're going to talk about sex. We're going to talk about your husband watching porn, jacking off while you're in the bed lonely. Why is he masturbating? Why is he jacking off when he can come and have sex with you? Why is he watching porn? Why is that lotion on his desk and you're in the bedroom horny and hot and he won't come in there? What's wrong with him? Is something wrong? Why does your wife choose a vibrator? Should dildos be in the marriage? We're going to talk about stuff like that. Can I use a dildo? My God. Can I use a dildo? Can we use strap-ons? What can we do to add more spice to our marriage? Listen, we're going to talk about all of that. There is nothing that I'm not going to talk about tomorrow. Why? Because listen. I counsel some people, and as I counsel these people, we talk about everything. We talk about Shanice Bean says, I need to refrain from tomorrow. Baby, you need to hear this before you get married. You hear me? You need to hear this before you get married, so that when you get married, singles, y'all need to listen to this. This is going to be good information. Y'all need to know this before you get married, so you can have these talks. The bedroom is undefiled. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Sexual intimacy. Stay tuned. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I pray that this word blessed you and blessed your marriage. Listen, this will be uploaded to YouTube. You'll be able to go back and replay it on YouTube. Share this on Facebook. I hope all y'all are sharing this. I hope all y'all are getting this message out. And I hope this was a blessing to you. I love you with the love of the Lord. God bless you. Goodbye.